Okay, penultimate session now. We're going to be talking about Generation Y and X, and new ways of working. It's going to be a panel discussion. I'm sure it's going to be good stuff. And Apurva is going to be leading that. I do hope I pronounced your name. It's close enough. That's what you mean, isn't it? But Apurva is going to be introducing all of the guests on the panel, so I shall exit quickly, and I will see you in about 30 minutes.
Millennial, working with Veldhoen Plus company, consultancy with leadership in activity-based working. So we base our leadership on 20+ years of dealing with and partnering with organizations to define, implement, and refine new work styles for their people. So what we basically do is dealing with organizations and helping them deal with a changing world as well as changing employee needs. So today at Worktech, we are holding a panel discussion to understand the so-called entitled millennials and to understand or see how post-millennials actually are at the workplace. So usually to understand Generation Y and Z, people read up articles, go onto the internet, get some percentages, and probably even make up their own theories, you know. But this time we thought that why don't we actually interview or ask these questions to the millennials and post-millennials and see what they have to say or what they expect out of their workplaces. So please welcome our young and unconventional managers. I'd like the panelists to please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Vanessa. I'm currently working at Extra, and I will now pass the time to. I think that's all right.
Hi everyone, my name is Olivia. I currently work for Facebook. I run events and operations for the global accounts team, which is managing clients who are the top spenders on the Facebook platform, which is like P&G, Unilever, etc. Yeah.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name is Mann Chawla. I work in digital sales and solution team at MediaCorp. So I'm a technology enthusiast, and one of the reasons I love technology is because it's making our lives so much easier and more convenient, which is why I chose digital marketing as my career. And also because of all those non-intrusive ads which have no idea about you. So the reason why I love digital media is because it helps me give an opportunity to learn and evolve very quickly as a professional, because the landscape is changing so fast, and that's the reason why I'm here.
Hi everyone, my name is Abhishek from Beyond Social Services. It's a charity that serves rental flats in Singapore. And in my day-to-day, I have very tough conversations with families. And the whole idea is to build resilient communities that can sort of like manage on its own, take care of itself. On the sidelines, I work with refugees in the region, so very much in the humanitarian sector. And surprisingly so, I use a lot of technology to analyze the data and better understand the communities that I interact with and serve with every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Quite varied and diverse career choices, all of you. So first, we focus on a few questions, moving on to the first one, where everybody in this room is, worried or probably concerned, rather, about war of talent. And everybody wants to retain and attract the best talent at all levels in an organization, of course, but focusing mainly on millennials and the post-millennials like yourselves. So would you throw some light on that?
Sure, I can go. So basically, I think we are in a very lucky stage, or we're born in a very good era to have this question also in front of us that, what are the things that we are looking for when we are looking for jobs or new opportunities and all that. And the reason is that technology itself is changing so many industries. So there's a lot of disruption which is going on. And that has given us the employers are actually looking for people who have diverse skills and they can fill those roles in. So when we are also looking for the opportunities, the things have changed. So earlier people were looking for more stability, more money. Everyone loves more money, but considering that the basics are covered, the things that we look for, or I personally look for, is how much am I going to learn in a new job? So what is my personal development which is going to happen in the new company? And that goes back to the point that if I am not learning anything quickly within the next 1 year or 2 years, then I'm going to become obsolete and no one is going to need those skills from me. And the second one is that, how's the work culture like? So we're not just going for interviews and it's the one-sided conversation which is happening and the interviewer is asking us that, oh, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years and tell me something about yourself. It is more a two-way conversation which is happening. And we are also going and checking on LinkedIn and we're checking on Glassdoor, what is the culture like, what's my manager like. So the culture is very important. And third one is the future of the company. So where does the company see itself? Instead of employees telling that, where I see myself in 5 years, I want to know where the company sees itself. And that's basically because we have seen established companies like Kodak and Nokia, they taking wrong decisions and coming down dramatically. And we have seen startups becoming a billion-dollar company within few years. So we want to know where the company is headed. And those are the things I look for.
That's great. Thank you, Mann.
Okay. I think currently what's happening in the workplace is there's a whole change in culture and a whole change of how people work. I think later on one of the things we're talking about will be how social media will influence. So that just shows how fast information can travel right now. And I think that's how millennials work. We are very dependent on the internet. And we can read something, let's say, what to expect at work. And I think millennials are so dependent on reviews and looking at, and to search for facts, that some of them might have a mental checklist. So before approaching the workforce, I think they will all make all their research first and then figure out what their steps are later on. And if they're at, let's say, at the workforce, let's say culture or are they learning, they will try to look for these solutions, and if it does not match what they're looking for, they will have enough resource to allow them to jump. But yeah, I'll save more for later on. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else would like to?
Just to add on, like adding on to them, I also look out for how the organization manages change in terms of like having those tough conversations when there are differing viewpoints and perhaps the vision of the company and where it is headed as well. I really look out like how do the employees feel, and is there like an open culture inside the company for feedbacks to happen, and like if there's something wrong, or like how are the employees treated? Are they treated as humans or objects? Is it validation or not? So all these things actually really matter to me into like how these conversations hold in this workplace.
Yeah, that's great. So I think to sum it up, we are actually looking for where the company is headed, self-development, what kind of culture does the company have, and do we get recognition for the work we're putting in or not, right? So I think to sum it up. Okay, moving on, is there anything else that employers could do to actually attract you or make you stay with them for longer? Anything that you think, all right, if the company is giving me these things too, I will stick with them.
My turn.
Yeah.
So the thing is, truth is, as we know, we spend more and more time at work, pretty much most of the time, minusing off the time that we sleep. So workplace is extremely important. How the workplace makes us feel, how the workplace makes us function, will matter somehow to a large extent. So coming from a very spoiled company, Facebook, I was also previously from Google, they adopt a very self-sustainable model where you pretty much can live your life in campus, in office. You pretty much have everything you need, benefits, services, massage, all this kind of stuff. Mainly because one, we work with different time zones. So a lot of times we do not have opportunities to go grab our dinner or grab our lunch. So that's why meals are provided. And that's where it helps us work extra time, and it helps us move faster. Other things is, I think what I learned a lot about the company is that how would employers or managers deal with mistakes? This is a very important thing. So I think the fact that the company accepts people making mistakes, are forgiving and are encouraging for us to learn more fall down, stand up, and figure solutions. These are areas where people like us, millennials, who feel more comfortable to voice out, to give innovation, to provide ideas. So these are the two areas that, for me, is important.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anyone would you like to add on?
I quite agree with her point, and it's really the outward culture that we're looking at in an organization instead of an inward mindset. So basically lending a hand and asking like, how can I support you, instead of blame going here and there. So really having this supportive, collaborative environment is such a key.
Yeah. So I think initially that were thought of as perks, employee perks, are actually necessities now, right? Which enable you to work better, to perform better, to increase your productivity. So that's what, those are certain basic standard expectations from any organization now. That's where I think we have changed, or our mindsets have changed. Moving on and talking about risk, how open are millennials, you think, to taking risks? Career-oriented question, of course.
So I can go first for this. So for risk, I believe that millennials are much more open to taking risks than the previous generations. The reason behind that is one thing that, most of us, we are choosing to have responsibilities later in life. So we are okay to get married late or have kids late, which was not the option for our parents or the previous generation. And the reason we are doing this is giving us an opportunity to take risks. So if I want to try a new career in the beginning, in my late 20s, then I can do that because I don't have any other mouths to feed. The other thing why we're taking more risk is because we have seen that there are different ways of getting success. There's not only one conventional way that you stay in a company for 10 years, you have this ladder of manager, senior manager, director, VP. There are different ways, and we've seen startups getting successful within 2 years, within 5 years. We have seen people becoming billionaires from nothing. So we are more open to try those different paths than just being in one company and living our lives over there and having that very safety net for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Vanessa, would you like to add something?
Okay, I'm a bit 50-50 on this because my initial answer would have been no. I think millennials we have an expectation to be much more independent than we'd like to sometimes. A lot of us want to leave the nest and be able to fend for ourselves, but having that would mean that we would have to. Whatever happens, we are in charge of what happens next. So let's say if I'm gonna quit a job, what will I be, what's the pros, what's the cons? And a lot of millennials who have traveled out into different cities and different countries to experience different cultures, again bringing to culture, it's a risk that not a lot would take, but it depends on what you mean by risk, because there's lots of things that I can think of. Is it quitting something stable to have a startup, or is it quitting, or is it leaving to do something you like better? So from what I see so far, the risk that I see millennials taking are starting up their own businesses. I know people my age who are already buying stocks, which is crazy, and that's a big risk, so young. But I realize also because maybe millennials are maybe too, or however you can say, ambitious. We are very driven by what we see on the media and what people do, and that's why when I see something and they see the process being posted and stories being shared, it inspires them to want to try. But I'm very 50-50 on the risk taking. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you. So I think risk, okay, we are not risk averse, much more comfortable taking risk as we're exposed to a lot of new things through the internet and through social media, but at the same time, not totally oblivious to the fact that we're still responsible for our own well-being, for our own, basically fending for ourselves as well. So I think I could sum that up, considering Vanessa's 50-50. And let's move on to technology now. What kind of relationship do you think we have with technology? Olivia, probably you can take this up.
Just because I'm a tech company.
Tech company.
So basically, technology revolves all around us. Much as we do not want to admit it, we use it all the time. But it's all about how and why are we using it. So, I mean, if you're looking at social media, coming from Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, which most of you probably use it, at least one of the apps, most of the time of the day. I see it more like a tool to help you move faster, a tool to help you to be more productive, a tool to bridge distances, to connect with people far away, to get information, quick information, and to also enable you to be more curious, to stay curious, and to be able to feed that curiosity. And that is how that contributes to innovation, to being better in your life, doing the things you do. So I wouldn't see technology as a bad thing. I think it really depends on how you use it and how you snap off as well.
Right. Thank you. Abhishek, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so working with families, quite a lot of times, we have to build connections and trust with youth very instantly, like almost over like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, to build deeper connections with them over time. So the first thing we do is always to like, hey, what's your Instagram ID? Hey, what's your Facebook? Just to get to know this person on a social media, personal level. Like nobody uses Facebook anymore for the youngsters, so they use Instagram more. So we're like, hey, Snapchat or Instagram, what do you have? And like, so it builds trust in a way, and also it's a good conversation starter in terms of like making the catalog. Like Instagram becomes a catalog of my experiences. Like my experience at Worktech today, so it'll go on my Instagram feed, which I can reflect on 5 years down the road. Like, hey, I did this, and this is the views I shared. So that's how I pretty much use it.
Yeah, Abhishek here is a big social media junkie because he clicks pictures of everything that we eat, every time we meet. So everything's up on his Instagram. Let's also take this opportunity to demystify a few things. One would be about, millennials are always on social media and that's all they do the entire day, they're just on social media. Would you like to kind of demystify that?
So, yeah. So millennials are always on social media, yes and no. The entire generation exactly can't do the same thing. Me personally, I check my Facebook almost every 1 hour, and that, if not more than that. And the reason is that, I see this something very similar to books, and it's your choice what you want to read. You can read comic books all day, which might give you some information, but you can read very knowledgeable books as well. So similarly, the the tool that has been made is totally up to you. How do you customize it, right? And on my Facebook, I actually am following a lot of news publishers, I'm following a lot of tech trends, and I get all that information from one tool itself. So I don't have to go to different news apps and different tech apps to find out what is going on in the world. So I'm following those trends. And then I'm able to connect with my friends and family, and I get to know what they're doing, and also share my picture and get the instant gratification. So I agree with that part. So all those things I'm getting through Facebook. And the other thing is that, we are breaking the rules. We are not following the traditional way how it used to happen. So I am talking to my clients on WhatsApp, and I'm probably closing deals on WhatsApp. So if I'm on my phone, doesn't actually mean that I'm wasting a lot of time. I could actually be working on something. And I get to know about the industry news also from Facebook. And immediately when I read that, these are the things that went wrong with Facebook or something else, and I call my clients that, yeah, have you seen this kind of news? And I think this is the right time for you to start working with us. And all that is happening on social media. So it's actually work and social media combined for me.
So I think social media it depends on how you use it. And I sometimes can find it quite intimidating because everything is put out there. And as I said, sometimes when we look at articles and see what's happening around the world, it will affect us in a way where we would expect, okay, I have to be this kind of person. And then now people are sharing things about, like Black Mirror, if you don't do something good, you're stripped off your rights. So it makes people realize, oh, I should be thinking this way. But I think social media is good because since all these news travel so fast, we're able to kind of connect to one another interest-wise, even globalization, so they call it. I'm able to reach out to a group with the same interest or the same mindset, or in another totally different place I never think I'd visit or meet anyone from. At the same time, it's where everyone shares their thoughts and opinions, and it's interesting if you're in a group where you have the same interest, but you have very different mindsets about it, or you can ask for help on Facebook or any social media platform, on LinkedIn even. Post a question and say, what do you think about this and this trend right now? I'm having a problem, let's say, in the office, and I don't think that this or that is sufficient. And then just like that, you get input from everyone from different walks of life. You get people, maybe a lecturer, maybe somebody who's in real estate, maybe somebody who's in fashion, and you get all these different inputs at, like this. This is my work. I brought my work here as well, so yeah. So I think social media helps.
Great. So I think what Vanessa is trying to say is that although we might be surrounded by a certain set of people, there are more than often times when we do not feel that we're fitting in, you know, and there must be some people elsewhere where probably we don't meet them, or they're not passing us, you know, through our daily lives, but we probably can still connect with them and still, you know, find people with similar mindsets. So social media kind of opens us up to the entire world, and there are no limits, and you don't really have to just stick to the people you know, so there is no restriction. And I think that's how we use social media to, you know, for our benefits. Like, that was a great example of putting your questions about work on LinkedIn, where, you know, you get answers from all over the world, so many different styles of work and mindsets. So you're basically just opening your mind to the rest of the world. Great, fantastic. One last question here. Could you describe this? I think each one of you should go for this question. Describe your perfect workplace. Perfect.
Okay, I'll go now. I'm the youngest here. So these guys are bullying me. I'm just kidding. So my ideal workplace is a place where my individuality gets expressed, in the sense that there must be like a cushy, what do you call that, place to sit down, and like a beanbag, right? And and you know, different environments is like not having just one homogeneous environments. Maybe some environments which allows for collaboration, and other place for more rejuvenation, because we get tired through working through 9-10 hours in a day. And you know, one thing that really affects me is like having natural plants around and fishes, something alive other than humans. Kind of gets frustrating throughout the day, like, okay. And food, yes, I think Facebook does that so well, you're mentioning. I think a nourishing point is so important, like, and it allows for like those conversations to happen beside the work conversations, like, hey, how's your family doing? Or like, you know, I'm facing this difficulty at work, can you help me brainstorm? I think those small conversations is something that I greatly value, and it provides a huge learning curve as well. So not everything is just more process driven, but also takes time to reflexively think about, is this the right steps? Or, you know, am I doing this thing correctly, or is this the correct mindset? So I think breaks are like the most vital thing for me in a day, because that's not something that I am quite attuned to having. It's more of like, you know, fighting the fires, doing this after doing that. Yeah, that for me is an ideal work environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mann.
So I want a lot of things being entitled millennial, but I'll just summarize those in three points. So one thing, have you guys watched that Simon Sinek's video where he talks about, you know, millennial joined workforce, and he wanted to make an impact within just 8 months, and his response was like, dude, you've been here just for 8 months. So for me personally, I would actually want to make an impact within 8 months. So if I join a company, I want to make sure that I'm adding some value to that company as soon as possible. I don't have to wait for 2 years to understand that. And if I'm not able to add value, then I would rather be in a company where I can feel that, you know, I'm adding that value. So this thing again is a two-way thing. I would want to ask my manager for the feedback that what I can do to contribute and have a career path within the company for me. So that's very important. Second one is your personal development, because we all have to keep learning more new things, and get to a point that, you know, where we are all being able to contribute to the company and to a greater good as well. And third one is, you know, the culture, people. Is it diverse? Is everyone having their own individuality? Are we having good conversations at work? Do we feel like staying at work after 6 p.m.? Or we just want to go back to our own places, maybe just to watch Netflix, but we still don't want to stay at work. So I don't want that kind of environment. It should be, you know, having friends at work, having good conversations, and you know, just being, want to be there, right? Those three things.
Thank you.
So what a perfect workplace comes in different areas for me. One of it is the people. So as what I've heard so far about HR and retaining talent and hiring right people, both Google and Facebook ensures that in all interviews you go through like a personality test where they ensure that, you know, if you are a good fit for the company, you have a good culture, you have, we call it googliness, you know, a kind of identity that the company believes in. So the people that you hire makes the company. So a lot to do with someone who's warm, who's very friendly, who's collaborative. People is very, very important for me because these are the people that you face more than your own families on a daily basis. Of course, in the workplace environment, I would say you can believe what you see. On all the news, Google and Facebook has one of the craziest and most collaborative and fun workplace. It's true. I've visited at least 18 different Google offices around the world. And every time I feel very comfortable, I feel very welcome. I get to understand a little bit their own culture in each of the different cities. And that is really important to me. And I think the last thing is about what in Facebook we believe, nothing is somebody else's problem. And that means, you know, we ensure that we are always helping each other. Your goals are my goals. This is our company. We move forward together, and we're always stronger together. So this is a few things that matter a lot to me.
That's great. We're not as self-centered then.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, Vanessa.
I really agree with your last point, and I think it's really cool how you get to cultivate culture like that, because I've always wondered, is it possible to cultivate culture because everybody goes into the company with a certain personality. But that aside, I think the way I'd see workplace, I see a workplace more of as an environment rather than what the space is made out of. Space comes secondary to me. I would say my ideal workplace for me to work would be in somewhere I will be able to be at my most productive, meaning I'll be able to ask questions. I won't be scared. I get to learn and grow together with the company. And also maybe some place that's flexible because not everybody is able to work at just one spot. And not everybody can work during the daytime. Sometimes during the daytime we're the most unproductive, we're not morning people. Sometimes we work better at 1 a.m. That's crazy. But I'm saying, and now that we have work with us at all times, that makes working possible anywhere. So why would we go back to the office? I think the human touch is still very important to us, especially if we collaborate. As much as I can go onto Google and say, hi, how do I do this? But it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So I'd say, to summarize, I'd say I guess it's the culture of the company that will really attract me to stay, and which the perfect would be a space where we are able to make mistakes, but of course we won't want to deliberately keep making them. A space where we can grow and learn as an individual and as an employee. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. I hope that was a fun and insightful session, and I hope we all learned a few more things and demystified a few things about millennials. So this is the end of the panel discussion. Thank you, everyone.
Not quite.
Yes.
We're not done with you yet.
Okay.
It's time for some old people's questions. I shall take the lead if I may. So we've had some quite interesting questions. This one I liked. If you had to pick one, and one means one in this case, what's more important? Company culture, room for growth and learning, or the quality of the technology tools to support your work?
Well, I think for me, company culture comes first because...
Culture? Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's culture. Should I explain?
Please do. You've started, so you should finish.
Well, company culture is what allows me to grow, and it's really the relationships that I draw my growth from. And there's so much learning in terms of like the people that I am around, and that's where I may be able to relate to, like, you know, this guy in his 30s, another person in their 40s, and everyone bringing the different perspectives. I think as long as you're able to work together like a family unit, like, you know, working towards a particular vision, that's the most important thing to me.
Okay. Anybody else? The same. It's another vote for culture.
Another vote, yeah, vote for culture, because you can give me a really complex, let's say a complex piece of technology, and I won't know how to use it.
Yes.
And that would be a problem.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes. Culture for me. Yeah, you can have everything else. You can build everything else on the root of culture.
Same for me. So culture, because for personal development, you can go outside, you can take courses, you can invest in yourself. Technology, if it is not very good, you can still live with. If the culture is not good, you probably cannot.
Sure, because there's that dimension of what the culture is giving you, but in return, you become part of that culture and you're giving to other people as well.
Correct.
So it becomes a cyclical thing, which is quite interesting. This is a funny one on here. Where's it gone? What do you believe you can learn from old people? I had to say that one. Yeah.
Everything, there's so much. Like,
That's a very good answer. And that is the end of the conference for today. Thank you very much indeed. Yes.
Millennials didn't really create the websites that we have now. So I say that, and then I'm not sorry if it sounds a bit cheesy, but I kind of look up to my parents and everybody in general, because they started out somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And now my parents, they are on social media, and then they delete it the next month and make me help them with that. They have built everything they had from the ground up. So I appreciate if I may, I appreciate any comment that I get and anything that's constructive. So yeah, I think that's why you can learn everything.
Sure. Any other inputs?
The successes and the learnings and experiences, these are things we probably take years to experience, so to learn from. So I think what they have went through would help us have a better tomorrow. And that's why there's technology. It's because then, you know, you do things very differently. And why are we trying to innovate and find ways and solutions to do things better than before? So I think those experiences, those learnings, mistakes are the ones that are going to help us grow bigger. Yeah.
I would like to call them more experienced people than older people. And that's basically because they have been in a different industry or the same industry for a long time, and they know a lot more than us. So definitely there's a lot for us to learn from them, and walk in their shoes, maybe using different tools, but we're learning a lot from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I see experienced people as mentors rather than anything else. Someone that I can learn a lot of things from, such as how do you hold a space, how do you have those difficult conversations, how do you enroll people into your vision. I think that's something that no one else can teach me, not even technology, because it's such a human touch to it. And I would never, I think that's my top priority as well in terms of like growth and work culture. I think people who are mentors really add value to it.
Because there's sometimes an only experience and judgment is going to fill the gap. Not everything can be written down and so on. So quickly justifying a baby boomer. Look, we've had a few more questions, but we haven't really got time to go anymore. I'd just like all of us to show our appreciation to the whole crew up here. A really, really interesting session. Thanks so much for you being so candid and open. Really enjoyed that.